these are concerns. How quickly power will come back, how much devastation we see. In 2008, we had a devastating ice storm, and we saw power out for 7 to 10 days.
All right, so the latest numbers I have right now is about 75,000 people that's in Worcester County are without power tonight, and obviously that band extends up into southern New Hampshire. That's about 25% of the population of Worcester County, so a lot of people without power, and the concern is that more and more people will lose power tonight. I know those firefighters are really busy. We were following them from call to call, and it was one line after another, and some of the lines were arcing. You have to definitely be very careful with the down power lines out here, and I know it sounds cliche, but if you do have a neighbor or a friend or you know someone who lives around here who may have trouble taking care of themselves, especially without power and heat, it's a good idea to go ahead and check on them. And guys, getting back to the fact that it's October, I was talking to my photographer, Mike Bowie, today, and he made a great point. He said, last week I was wearing shorts. Welcome to October.
So was I. All right, Ted, thank you very much. You can imagine the people who lost power during Hurricane Irene, hoping that we don't see a repeat of what happened last time during this rare October storm. However, a lot of people already in Foxborough without power. Nicole Jacobs spending the night in Foxborough and Franklin, and you join us live in Franklin, where it's pretty snowy scene there, Nicole.
It is a snowy scene, Maria, but in comparison to what Ted is experiencing in AJ, it's pretty mellow here. Just a little bit of sleet falling right now. If we take a look over here at this bush, you can see exactly how much has accumulated. Just a couple of inches of snow, and it is pretty thick, wet snow. Same as for here on the ground. A lot more accumulation than we actually thought earlier today. The roads looking pretty decent in terms of people getting along okay, and a little bit of slush out on the roads. But take a look at this video from earlier. This was when the snow was really coming down here in Franklin just a few hours ago. You see again, not making for a very tough trek on the roads this afternoon. Not many people out walking. Certainly people getting on with their normal daily activities. We did see some accumulation on the trees, on the leaves, which, as you heard AJ and Kevin mention, that is a major concern as those leaves start to weigh down and fall on power lines possibly. That's a concern here in Franklin as well. As you mentioned, Maria, this was one of the areas hard hit during Hurricane Irene and those power outages, and people we spoke with today are certainly concerned about that as well. Take a listen.
Yeah, because we were one of the last people to get it on. We were out for over a week, so it was pretty tough.
Hate it. Hate the snow.
Well, a lot of people are saying, you know what, this is New England, and get used to it. Who knew we had to get used to it in October? Take a look at the roads here. This is Route 140 here in Franklin. Not much traffic right now. We haven't seen many plow trucks at all coming through here today. I did speak with Franklin Police just a little bit ago, and they tell me they haven't had any reports of downed trees. One limb, they say, has fallen. That did not create a mess at all. No power outages as of this point here in Franklin, and certainly residents here hope it stays that way. Mark and Maria.
All right, Nicole, thank you very much. In Franklin tonight, well, the region, as we've been telling you, crippled by power outages from this storm from southern Connecticut up to New Hampshire, and of course right here in Massachusetts as well. Shannon Malaire has been keeping an eye on all of this for us, and Shannon, this storm sadly has already claimed at least one local life as well.
That's right, Mark. A man in his 20s was killed in Springfield earlier this afternoon. Some wires came down in the storm and were touching a fence. The man touched that fence and was electrocuted. Meantime, people have been calling and tweeting us all afternoon, all evening about their own issues. We're going to put it all together for you now. Power outages, of course, one of the main concerns associated with this storm, and so far it looks like a very valid one. Looking live video here, this is Fitchburg, the blur that you can.
And with the winds blowing like they are, well, this is pretty tough out here. So the high tide once again comes about 2 o'clock in the morning, but as Dylan said, luckily this wind is going to turn. It won't be a northeast wind. It'll be more north to northwest, and that should make all the difference. So we're hoping there won't be bad flooding, but 7 News will certainly be keeping an eye on it overnight. Reporting live from the coast of Situate, Jonathan Hall, 7 News 19.
All right, 54-mile-per-hour gust there. Really looks like a hurricane where John is, but let's check the conditions now. In Westford, here's 7's Tim Caputo. He's been watching the snow just pile up there. Tim?
And it has been piling up here, and Diana mentioned it earlier. It's certainly heavy snow. You see this branch here snapped in half because of all the weight just sitting on all these leaves and on this branch. And, you know, here in Westford, it's not like they got a foot of snow, at least not yet. We check our trusty yardstick here. Right now, we're at about 4 or 5 inches or so. Not terrible to this point, but we've been mentioning how wet and how heavy that snow is. In the last 10 minutes, that's enough snow to snap this tree right in half. Slippery streets are just part of the danger out on the roadways tonight. In Westford, much of the power is already out, and it's only going to get worse. Tree limbs all over, leaning on top of power lines.
We had the generator out ready to go, but we forgot to get gas. So.
You getting gas? You think you'd be okay for the night?
I hope so.
Whole neighborhood's out, though?
Yep. Whole half that side of town.
Plows and the fire department have been busy here, but it's tough keeping up. More wet snow means more problems. This is the definition of bend but don't break. This entire tree hunched over because of the snow. You know, this is a tree with plenty of leaves and berries still on it, but it just can't handle all this extra weight. Most people have avoided the roads, but some had no choice. One family in Westford returned to a home in the dark, but they say they're just happy to be home after a hairy drive back from Vermont.
By the time we left at about 3 o'clock, it was pouring with snow. And obviously I came home to this. It's taken about 6.5 hours to get home.
You saw plenty of crashes on the road?
Yeah, we've all saw about 40 to 15 spin-outs, crashes. It was pretty tough. It's on a white.
And you can't reiterate it enough. Don't get on the roadways unless you really have to. Tonight we were driving around and we're watching a transformer pop on one of those power lines. Beyond that, the roads are slick themselves. Tonight, reporting live in Westford, Tim Caputo, 7 News 19.
All right, and from Tim in Westford, we're going to live look now in Framingham, where state officials there are tracking the storm's every move at the MEMA bunker, and Linda Ergus is there. And Linda, you were, of course, out in the roads all afternoon. Tell us what you experienced.
It has been an extremely difficult night for drivers across the state. We're talking Route 9 behind me. We're talking the Mass Pike, of course, 93. All over the state, drivers are having difficulties. That's according to state police, obviously. As you said, we have been on the roads. We had some difficulties ourselves. We were driving on the Mass Pike. We were in Westboro, and I have to tell you, I would say we were driving about 15 miles an hour because drivers were truly just taking it slowly. We saw a number of drivers. Actually, they had their flashers on just to let other drivers know that they were having some difficulties. There were some cars that were actually pulled over. Let's give you the latest update from the Mass Pike. This is from state police. As I said, numerous spinouts, crashes. No serious injuries, though, reported, so that is some good news. There were 2 tractor-trailer trucks that were stuck in the snow at one point this evening. That caused extensive backups, but fortunately that scene is cleared as of right now. In the central part of the state, a real tough situation.
These are called winter hurricanes sometimes. Could make that argument. There were near hurricane force winds with this storm.